Liss. The name of the program is The Way to Go. I invite you to join me each week at this time as we explore places to go and things to do. We're going back to the Emelin Theater. We've talked about the Emelin, its wonderful programming so many times, and each year we talk about the new program. We're talking about 97, 98, and a tremendous array because it's the 25th anniversary of the Emelin Theater. And my guest today is Tom Watson. And Tom, you know everything there is to know about the Emelin, but I have a question for you. 25 years of great productions, continuous productions, all sorts of family entertainment. What does it take to keep going for 25 years?
Well, it takes a lot of things. It takes the support of the community is the main thing. The program at the Emelin has evolved over those 25 years in a lot of ways. Some things have been constant all the way through, chamber music, theater, dance. But then there are other things that we've added as we went along. We added a film series, a lot more children's entertainment, things like that. So there's a lot of growth that comes back
from the audience.
Have to
change because audiences change. We've talked on this program several times about the changing audiences, the aging audiences. Of course, when you're doing children and bluegrass and jazz, of course you're appealing. I said when I introduced the program, I said family entertainment. You really cover the wide array of all types of entertainment. So your audience are everywhere. Do they overlap?
They overlap a lot. Interestingly, we have, as you say, an aging audience of people who've been coming to the Emelin for many of those 25 years. And we have a huge children's audience, which is part of the new demographic in Westchester of young children. One of the problems we all face, all of us who run arts institutions in Westchester, is getting the parents of those children into our audience on their own.
Yes. And not getting the children into the audience on their own. No.
Right. No, we have an awful lot of parents who only come to the Emelin with their children.
Really?
And who don't really come on their own either because their lives are too busy or they don't think of us that way.
It says a lot about the future, though. If children are getting used to live entertainment, that they'll grow into entertainment when they're adults.
As
so
you know,
hopefully.
That's central to what we think of as our mission, to what we do.
Yeah. So let's talk about the programming. The brochure that you have is tremendous. You cover such a wide array in the brochure, and we're going to tell people how they can get copies of the brochure. But let's talk specifically about you having the cabaret, one of my favorites, of course. You have a great cabaret season coming up. Let's talk about some of the people, and some of the people were scheduled. Some of the people perhaps already audiences will have missed it by the time they see this program. But let's talk about Amanda McBroom, for example.
Amanda McBroom, indeed, is the first of our cabaret series this year. She is appearing on October the 18th, Saturday night. So depending on when people are seeing the show, they may still have a chance to see her. She is based on the West Coast. She's probably best known as the person who wrote The Rose, which she also performs very differently than
she is.
You might hear.
I've heard her and I've seen her and I've listened to some of her recordings and of course we have a photo of her. She is great. She plays at the top places, and Rainbow and Stars, and just tremendous.
One of the ways we were able to get her is she's in town for Rainbow and Stars, and she's coming straight to the Emelin from there. So that, again, because she's based on the West Coast, you don't get to see her as often in New York as some of the other people we might have.
The proximity to New York is a great asset, isn't it?
It is in terms of getting talent here. And It also it presents a challenge to us, of course, because people do always have that option of getting into their car and slugging it out on the Parkway and paying those Manhattan parking charges. I encourage them to come to the Emelin. You know that.
Yeah. I wondered about that. As opposed to the fact that there's adequate free parking completely, certainly at the Emelin, and it certainly makes, and you don't have to travel as far.
And more wonderful restaurants in the area. So it's really, I think it's a real resource for people.
Emelin has got such a terrific location. It's so easy to get to, pretty much from anywhere. It's close to the highways, and I find it accessible. And I find that when I'm there, I see people from all over, coming up from New York even.
We do have people. We even have people who come out on the train from New York because it's 6 minutes from the railroad station, so they can walk over.
Who else are you having in Cabaret?
Well, in Cabaret we have a couple of other people. I should give people one cautionary note. We had David Campbell booked, the wonderful young Australian singer, but he has just had to cancel or postpone that engagement anyway because he's going to do the lead in Les Mis in Australia, and he's from Australia, so it was a hometown thing he couldn't turn down. But we also have all kinds of wonderful people. Claiborne Carey.
Who I know, and I know is just really marvelous.
And then some new people to the Emelin, K.T. Sullivan, and also Craig Carnelia, who's never been to the Emelin before.
Well, Craig Carnelia is a special talent because he composes and he sings what he does. But so many other cabaret performers perform his wonderful music and lyrics.
Mm-hmm. Well, one of the great things about watching him is you say, gosh, I didn't know Craig Carnelia wrote that. You have it associated with somebody else, like Amanda McBroom and the Rose, as a trademark song of someone else. And he's such an intelligent performer. I love to watch him.
Sometimes I will listen to a cabaret performer and saying, that sounds like it's something that Craig Carnelia wrote. Mm-hmm. Whether or not he wrote it or not, but it sounds like, because he really interprets life so well.
Mm-hmm. And it's a little different take than some of the other male performers we've had who are performing other people's material. Craig is really singing from his experience.
Just to stay with cabaret for a moment, I have noticed that cabaret performers are going into Broadway shows. Mm-hmm. Steve Ross, for example, was recently on Broadway.
Present Laughter.
Present Laughter. I just saw a show.
John Pizzarelli, you thinking of?
No. Well, that was different because he was just doing his act, but I've seen people in starring roles or even in the chorus that cabaret people do lend themselves so well. I've seen so many shows where people just make that transition over there. Mm-hmm. Whether they continue there and still do their cabaret is another question, of course. It's wonderful because they're able to do their own material in an intimate atmosphere, and the audience is never huge because it's a very intimate type of performance. Mm-hmm. But that relates kind of into folk, which is what you're doing as well, aren't you? You're doing some great folk things.
Well, we are. That's a thing which started at the Emelin, certainly in the original programming, and kind of dropped off maybe 5 years ago. We didn't have as much folk, and there's a new enthusiasm about folk now. We were talking about singer-songwriters. Again, in most of the folk artists, you have singer-songwriters. We have one of the most popular ones in December, Katie Curtis, who's a real...
and you brought along a photo of her, and she's... We'll talk about her a little bit.
Well, she, we had a great success last year with Dar Williams, who appealed to a whole set of young women who, again, didn't come to the Emelin for a lot of other things. And Katie Curtis is sort of one generation older than that. I think her songs speak a lot to the experiences of young women, and I would categorize that well up to 40. They're very, very good songs. Actually, my 8-year-old even likes them. So she doesn't get all of them, but I really like listening to Katie. Again, it's very intelligent and very musical work.
There's a certain kind of charm about folk music that once you get into it and you realize how good they are, it's very, as you say, it's very similar to cabaret, isn't it?
Well, somebody said to me about it, said, you mean that little girl is going to go out there with just a guitar and stand there all by herself for 2.5 hours? It's a real bravery, and that's actually, when you mention cabaret performers in Broadway shows, that's a really, there's a lot of anxiety for them in coming out on stage by themselves without sets, costume, the rest of the cast around around them. It's a very courageous thing, a cabaret show, or a folk singer for that
You think
matter.
performers are courageous?
I think performers are very courageous. I'm quite comfortable sitting here talking to you, but I think there are probably people watching the show who would prefer not to get up and speak in front of a group of 20 people, let alone have to sing about their innermost thoughts and tragedies in front of 200 strangers.
But they exude so much confidence, stage presence when they're there performing. Maybe I've heard it about some well-known people who go off stage and they're shaking, or even before they come on. Even people who've been doing it for years.
Yeah, very rattled just before they go on. We always have to be careful with volunteers we have working backstage to say, please, don't talk to the artists just before they go on. If they don't speak to you, don't speak to them.
I guess it's part of not knowing whether you're going to be loved or not.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I guess that anxiety gives them the edge they need to go out there and really push.
Yeah, that's a good term for it. Mm-hmm. What else are you doing?
We have also in the folk series, we have something which is brand new to us, Fast Folk, which is put together by a young man named Richard Meyer, who does Fast Folk Musical Magazine. Fast Folk has been a tradition at the Bottom Line in New York, and in the way that we do at the Emelin, we like to bring some New York kinds of experiences out to Westchester. And Fast Folk is a magazine show, different artists, whoever's around, whoever's in town. Richard knows everybody, and he just brings in a group of people.
So he produces that little package, is that what it is? And
it's never been done except at the Bottom Line, so I think we can...
Oh, really? And you did bring a photo of him, too, so we can
First of those is in November, and we don't know yet who's going to be on the bill. But it will be a group of the hot young folk singers and also the sort of legends of folk.
As you're talking about some of these dates, you can be specific or not specific. The information is really in the brochure. This might be a good time to give the telephone number that people can call to get a copy of the brochure and any other information. So why don't we tell what that number is right now?
Okay, well, of course, it's area code 914 right here in Westchester, and the number is 698-0098. And that is 11 to 5 almost every day.
We'll repeat that later on. We're also putting it up in the closing credits.
Good.
Beyond folk, where do we go? You've got such an array. I'll let you select where you want to go.
Okay, well, we have actually coming up in October, at the end of October, the first of our dance programs of the year. A company from Chicago called Rough Dance, choreographer Robin Lakes. And Rough Dance is quite a wonderful company. This will be their only appearance in New York this year. They're doing a tour up into Connecticut as well, but otherwise you'd have to be in Chicago to see them. Mm-hmm. They're doing two very different pieces at the Emelin, big pieces, one of which is called Before Love Came to Town on Friday night, October the 24th. And that is an exploration of personal relationships. It's somewhat sensual, somewhat political, somewhat personal, but it's a really interesting dance piece for a Friday night. And then on Saturday and Sunday, they're doing a very moving Holocaust piece, which is really the reason I brought them to the Emelin, called Dissonance, doing that on Saturday evening and also on Sunday afternoon. And it's a very strong piece, something you could bring older children to, but certainly not for young children. And there are some things that are either so horrific or like love so beautiful that they're hard to explore in words. And I think these are good ways to explore those feelings.
You mentioned Saturdays and Sundays. I know you do certain type of programming on Saturday for the children, of course, and you have Sunday programs as well. So you really cover the whole week.
In fact, we have Monday programs on all the school holidays. When there are Monday holidays for children, Columbus Day, or actually Tuesday of Veterans Day, we try to have programming for school-age children so that there are good ways for them to do things, particularly when the weather's not so great during the winter.
One of the most interesting, as far as I'm concerned, the children's program, I've known it for years, are the paper bag players. And talk about paper bag players for those few people in the audience who may not know what they are.
Are they out there? It needs no introduction. The paper bag players have been coming to the Emelin for 20 years.
My kids grew up on them, and their kids are, so
They're really a national treasure. They're based in New York, and their sets are basically made out of paper bags and corrugated cardboard. So the original concept was this is almost like a show that kids would put on for themselves, though these are adult performers and they address children's themes, but they have a very magical insight into where kids come from. I think I'm trying to remember what the particular show. Oh, I guess The Big Sleepover this year. Last year was, I think, about haircuts. These are issues that are very big in kids' minds, and they like the exploration of those. And in fact, adults enjoy that show a lot. It always sells out. We go from Christmas to New Year's with that.
Kids are going to love it. I do want to remind our audiences at this point, before we continue and talk about some of the other programs, I do want to remind our audiences that we're talking today with David Watson about the great Emelin Theater program, 1997 and 1998, extensive, tremendous amount, and we'll give you the number later on again so that you can get some more information on the full brochure. Let's talk about some of the other things you're doing this year. I'm just always overwhelmed with the number of things that you're doing.
Well, for example, we haven't talked about classical music yet, and we have three. See, this is what happens when you talk about the Emelin. All kinds of wonderful things happening. We have Jeffrey Siegel coming in on 2 Sundays to do Keyboard Conversations, a very popular series where he talks about and plays music. It's something that no matter how much you know about music, you can learn something more. And if you don't and want to appreciate music a bit more, especially if you want to come, say, with your children and explore some of the concepts together, this is a good way to do it. It's not designed for children specifically. It's really aimed for adults and the whole family. We're also doing another special Emelin kind of premiere. From November through June, we are doing 3 Saturday evenings, all of the Beethoven sonatas for violin and piano. And that's Mark Peskanov and Paul Ostrovsky are going to do all 8 of them in those 3 evenings. And that series begins November 1st. So if people want to explore that, this is a great opportunity to enjoy some of the most beautiful music, I think, that we'll have this season.
And Richard Good is, of course, coming back.
And Richard Good is coming back January 29th, which I believe is a Thursday. It's a very great privilege for us to have him back at the Emelin. This is at least the 3rd or 4th time he's been to the Emelin. And to see a performer of his power in such an intimate space is a rare experience. And that's a benefit for the Emelin, but there are very inexpensive tickets available for people who subscribe to any other music series. Again, we're trying to get people to expand the kinds of things they'll go see. And
you said the magic word, subscribe. Subscribers are very important, and there are a lot of benefits for subscribers, aren't there?
There are, in terms of ticket exchanges, reduced prices on other events outside of their subscription series, which we think would be of interest to them. For example, if you're a cabaret subscriber, you can get a reduced price on some jazz things you might enjoy. All of those subscription series start off in October and November. So there's plenty of time for people at this point to get in and buy tickets for a full series and save some money and also spend the year exploring something that they enjoy seeing.
It's interesting to me that performing arts centers talk about the support of the community. You touched on it in this conversation today. Support of the community is not something that people are doing to be good to you. If you're good to them, they're good to you. If you give them what they want, they're good to you. And subscribers are people who have faith in you, who know that they're going to get a great deal, and therefore they want to support you, and they want to say, okay, I'm committing myself to you because I know you're doing good things for me. It's a win-win situation, really, when you come down to it.
It has to be.
So what else is happening now? Have we touched them all? The list is long. Oh, film. We haven't talked about film, and we certainly should get into that in jazz.
Film and jazz.
Film is, as far as I remember, and I don't know that I go back 25 years with the Emelin, but I seem to think that film has been part of your programming from the very beginning.
I think you're right. I seem to remember clippings from 73 and 74, at least, about film screenings at the Emelin. What we've tried to do with our film series is provide an alternative to the standard big studio releases that you see in Westchester. And there's less and less opportunity, even in New York, to see European films, to see Asian films, and to see independent American films. That being said, of course, we start off with a Woody Allen film.
I was going to say that.
But he's kind of independent. And everybody says I Love You, which was a film that I think didn't get a long enough run. I think probably a lot of people did not get to see it.
It's a classic.
And the season runs right through European films and ends up actually with the re-release. There's a new print of Garden of the Finzi Continis, which is a spectacular film and is very beautifully done in this re-released extended print. So there are real opportunities here to see films other than the standard studio fare.
One of the nice parts about it is that last year put in new projection equipment, so the quality of what people are seeing is really great. I know I have seen some of the films there, and it's like one of the movies.
That's a very hard series to program because there are so many movies out there that I think people would enjoy seeing, and I get a lot of requests for movies from people, and we only do 6 or 8 a year, so that's a very difficult process to whittle that down.
Is it harder to select and cull than it is to find enough to fill all those little slots that you've got?
Well, actually, it's interesting you say that because I find theater at the moment to be the opposite way. We weren't able to find as much theater as we wanted to present this year. In fact, we have only one play coming up so far, a production of Fires in the Mirror from Trinity Rep. And that'll be in February, but that's the only theater offering we have in the winter season this year because there just wasn't a lot of product out there that I thought was of the quality we needed.
And that's, of course, the important thing is to set a high standard and not just put anything on. I think people appreciate that. That's why Emelin is so successful, because you're doing that. We didn't cover jazz, did we? We
didn't cover jazz. We got a couple of really fun things in jazz. November. We also have the Brubeck Brothers coming in the spring, and Sandra Reeves over Thanksgiving weekend, fabulous bluesy jazz singer. So there's a good subscription series for jazz as well, and single tickets are always available for the jazz shows. Well, I shouldn't say always, but at this point, all the shows are still available.
You mentioned single tickets being available. You have and always have had great speakers programs, people who are in the news, people who are in the arts, and so often I see that they're sold out, but they're not always sold out. Sometimes you told me that tickets are available on the last day.
Well, we have enough subscribers to our speaker series to just about sell out the house. There are actually a few subscriptions available still on that, but normally it sells out. What happens, though, is that if people find they can't come, or their spouse can't come, something happens, they return those tickets to us. So very often on the day of an event, we have some seats available that people can call up and purchase. For example, we have Calvin Trillin in October. That is sold out at the moment. It may not stay so. Because people will be able to return tickets, and then we can make them available to people who want to see him.
Such a popular series that you do. And talk about popularity. I recently saw The Mikado at Purchase Performing Arts Center, and the man behind me was singing along a little too audibly for my taste. But you're not banning that, are you? Well, let's talk about your sing-alongs.
Not at all. We're having we have actually, as you say, 2 sing-in or sing-along events this year. We have we have a Messiah in December, which we have done for the last several years, and that's a sort of a common experience around the country. A lot of people do Messiahs. But actually the idea, I got it at the Performing Arts Center myself during the Pinafore production, where somebody was singing next to me, that we should do some sing-in Gilbert and Sullivan's. And so we're starting off with the Mikado as well. March 15th, with the Sound Shore Orchestra. So this is a chance for people to sing along with a full orchestra, which most members of the public usually don't get. And that should be good fun. We'll have guest soloists, but if people want to be Gentlemen of Japan or Little Maids from School, they're welcome to do that, and they won't disturb you.
I find that when I go to the theater, see something familiar like going to the Westchester Broadway Theater where they're doing old musicals, South Pacific, I find that everything is so familiar to me that inside I'm singing along. I sing so badly that I'm not singing out loud, so you can't cover that at all.
We'll put you up in the projection booth.
Is your season more ambitious than it has been in the past? It's certainly enormous, and you've got a lot of offerings.
I don't think of it as more ambitious. I think it builds on what we've been doing. The Emelin's made a lot of leaps, but there's also just an incremental process of growing with the community that we're trying to follow here. So we thought, should we do a 25th anniversary season that's all headliners and huge stars? And we decided, no, that wasn't what we were about. So we're just going to keep doing what we offer to the people.
And let's give that telephone number again before we run out of time. What is the telephone number that people can call for more information?
It's 698-0098, and we can send them out a copy of our brochure or answer any questions they have.
Of course, that's in the 914 area. I'm always delighted when you come because you have so much to talk about, and you have such great programming, and it's such a great atmosphere when you go there. You feel comfortable at the Emelin Theater. It's a small theater. There isn't a bad seat in the house.
Not a one.
And every type of presentation, which always amazes me when I go there, is that no matter what you do, it's the ideal house for it.
It's a very special place, and we're pleased to be able to bring people in.
You certainly couldn't do a big Phantom of the Opera or Titanic in there. Well, it'd have to be a small Titanic if you did it. But the stage does lend itself. I'm astounded at what happens in the performance and dance, that you could do so much there. I mean, the stage seems to grow. Sometimes it does.
Sometimes it does grow a bit. We can grow at 6 or 7 feet in some directions, and we do that sometimes. But it's a very beautiful and flexible space. It was well designed, and it served the community well, and we hope it'll keep serving the community until, I think, 2023.
And you have served the community very well, and I thank you very much for being here today and telling us about the Emelin Theater and its season. Thanks a lot. My guest today has been Tom Watson, the Emelin Theater's executive director. Got a wonderful program. Call up, get the information, and go see what they have to offer. I'm Norman Liss. The name of the program is The Way to Go. And until next time, enjoy yourself.
Detective Charles A.